Hello, hello, hello. I'm gonna wait a few seconds, allow people to join us on tonight. Hello, everyone. I am super excited about our show on tonight. It's June and Ayana with Couch Conversations. And tonight, I actually get to interview June. So he's on the other side of the camera on tonight. So we want to take the time to welcome each one of you all to Couch Conversations. Come on, tell everyone to join us on tonight. We have some super special guests, and I am excited about this Father Son edition. We know that Father's Day is on Sunday, and we salute our fathers. And so we're going to hear from some of our fathers on today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I will introduce. We'll add the Lewises to the stream first. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
So we have June and June Makai Lewis with us on tonight. June is the co-founder of the Abrius Chase Foundation. He also facilitates the LAC support group, Couch Conversations, ACL Transport, and the upcoming Wilborn Lewis Winery and Events Venue. So we are super excited about that. He is my amazing husband and my children's amazing father. So I am super excited to have him with us on today. We also have June Makai with us on today, who is my amazing, handsome son, who is a junior at NC State. He loves the Lord, he loves basketball. He also manages the girls' basketball team, and we are super excited to have both of them with us on tonight. Our next guest that we are going to introduce are the Alexanders. Hello. We have James Alexander, who is the husband of Patisa Alexander, father of two children, grandfather of three beautiful girls. He's the associate minister and youth pastor at Freedom Life Church of God, all in that order. Amen. And we have James the second with us. He is married to Maria Alexander, and they are the parents of a fur baby. Is it Che?
Chai. It's Chai.
Chai.
Yeah.
Chai. And James is the worship leader at Brick Ministry. We are super excited to have you with us.
Good to be
We're
here.
going we're going to add Eric and Eric's son to the stream on tonight. Super happy to have both of them. Eric has been married for 21 years to Jasmine Cheek. They have four beautiful children together. He is an award-winning professional barber and has been for 23 years. He owns a shop in Charlotte with two of his partners called, now tell me, am I saying this right? Blensorial?
You can say, yeah, it's Blensorial. Blensorial.
Blensorial Styling Bar. Eric is a global educator in the beauty industry. He's an artist as well, and his paintings are known around the world. One of his favorite quotes is "Principles don't change, situations do." We are super excited to have you on tonight. And we also have with us Erickson. He is a 19-year-old artist. He began digital art a year ago and has explored a variety of mediums: CLT, iPad, Procreate, traditional, acrylic, commissions open. He's currently a fine arts student at Western Carolina University. We are excited to have you with us on tonight, Erickson. I do have another special guest, and we're going to bring both of them up in just a little while. We have the Raglins with us on tonight, and I'm going to pause before I bring them up, but I'll bring them up in just a second. Um, But I'm so excited to have you all on tonight. Thank you all for joining us. And it's such a blessing for me to even be able to interview you all on tonight. Um, First, I want to start with saying that each of you all were chosen because I really feel like you all are amazing fathers. And I want to know who is your example of what a father should be. And I'm going to go to the right below me to the Cheeks. And Eric, I want to start with you. Tell me who your example of what a father should be was.
That's a trick question, Ayana. And just keeping it 100, it was it was my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, no shade to my pop. We had a discussion about it, because I wanted to dig deep into why things were the way they were, and he did the best job he could do with the information he had, and so I salute him for that. That's my guy. But he taught me a lot of stuff indirectly on what not to do, and he did a lot of great things as well. But I wanted better for my family, and I wanted my son to be a better father than me. So I'm trying to make up for what I didn't know. So a lot of what I've learned is because of what I didn't get and what I didn't understand, and I'm trying to understand and trying to be better about. So that's why I am in the position I'm in today. No shade though. That my pop has taught me a lot. I salute him, but it's a lot that he didn't know, and it's a lot that his father didn't know either. So it ain't no blame. It's just this cycle, and we trying to get it corrected. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Before I go to our next father, I'm going to go ahead and add Vincent um, to the live because he's going to answer this question as well. So let me get him added. Hey, Vincent. Uh-oh. Gotcha. There you are. Hey, Vincent, how are you? I think you're muted. There you go.
Right.
So Vincent has been married to Connie for 29 years. He's the owner of Horizons Trucking and New Horizons Training Group. He's been sponsoring married retreats and church training since 2008. He's always trying to give back to the community through scholarships, senior projects, and community feedings. He's the founder of the Black Engagement Group, whose purpose is to get Blacks involved and engaged in all areas that affect our lives. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And so, Vincent, I'm going to actually jump to you for that same question. Who is the example of what a father should be in your life?
I would have to be my father. Uh, he was always at the house with us. He was always providing, and he gave me the discipline not to do certain things. He laid the foundation for everything. Also,
Absolutely.
for uncles and as well, but the father was in the house, and that was big for me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. June Lewis, who is your example of who a father should be?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Dr. Huxtable from the Cosby Show.
Wow.
However, my story is a lot like Brother Eric. My dad, he indirectly taught me what to do and what not to do unconsciously. So,
Yep.
that's it.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. Alexander.
Yes, ma'am. That when I read that question, it was a tough question because and I feel just like Eric and I was saying about his father. He was taught indirectly, but I can say this, Mom, who taught me. I learned a lot from with my father-in-law. He's gone on to be with the Lord now, but he taught me a lot in the little time he was here, and maybe because I was marrying his daughter. No pun against my dad, anything like that. But I learned a lot under my father-in-law, so I have to give it to him. Other than that, though, that's it.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. All right. So we're gonna go to our sons. And Makai, I'm gonna start with you. Can you tell me what quality you admire in your father the most?
Out of the many qualities that my father has, I would probably say his wisdom and just how wise he is and caring. Um, just the way that he handles different situations. He doesn't overreact. He's calm, but he also thinks of it from a logical standpoint while also putting a little bit of heart in it, just so the decision that's made is the best decision for what's happening. And so, I just appreciate everything that he's taught me in that way. Um, to like just be smart about all the things that I'm doing. So,
I love it. I love it. All right, Erickson.
For me personally, out of the few qualities, the many qualities I could come up with for my father would definitely be the insight that he has for me. So the wisdom as well, and maturity, because maturity doesn't always come with age, but his maturity in situations that I wouldn't get from other parties is great. It's great to see how he deals with situations and teaches me how to deal with them without overreacting and being hasty and end up, you know, ruining something that could be good. So it's really good insight from him. The
I
wisdom.
love it. I love it. All right, Mr. Alexander.
All right. Well, like as I was saying with what everybody kind of said, if we're kind of like pulling down to the main quality, and this is kind of like a little vague for my dad because he does so much amazing. They have all these different things they can do. But for me, that really I picked up on is his ability to adapt. It's kind of unique for me because my dad is he's well known as far as pretty much doing a lot. And it's like his ability to kind of just take a situation and instead of just saying, oh, hey, this is A to B and this is how it's going to be, he's ability to adapt to no matter whether it fails or succeed. He, just his ability just to say, hey, I'm going to do the best that I can in everything that I do. And if I don't do it and it doesn't work out, I'm not going to, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep trying, keep going. And it kind of, pushed me to kind of just say, okay, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how much change happens in my life, I'm going to adapt to the situation and just kind of like, mature and grow with however, life kind of pushes. And so his ability to adapt is phenomenal for me because the stuff he's went through, I would have honestly had a different response to it. So I kind of appreciate and acknowledge how he can just take anything and just go in stride with it. So.
I love it. I love it. I really love it. I love the relationships between the father and sons. I want to ask the fathers, when you found out that you were having a son, what did you feel? And in that moment, did you have any fear, anxiety? Like, what was that moment for you when you found out you were having a son? And James, I'm going to go back to you first.
Oh, excited, of course. Just knowing that I have something to carry on my name. You know what I mean? And also nervous because it's a big responsibility. Because of carrying on my name, that means that I got to instill something in him. So it was exciting from the beginning, and it's still exciting because now I get the opportunity to see him flourish from a baby to a young man to a husband now right now. So it's awesome in itself, and I feel like this we do the best we can as fathers, as parents, and let God deal with the results of it. And we move on. And I'm just excited just to see the fruit of what's going on right now.
Vincent, I'm going to throw it over to you. How did you feel when you found out you were having a son?
I think pretty much like Alexander just said, you're excited, you're looking forward to everything, but you also understand that whatever your name is, your son is going to have to bear all the things that you did. So you get a little nervous, but you at the end of the day, you say, I think this is best. It's going to make me be a better individual. So you decide to go ahead with it, and you appreciate it at the end that you did make that decision because it gave you something to strive forward to.
Wonderful, wonderful. Eric?
Well, I thought about that question, man. I had a ignorant joy when I found out I was having a son. And I said ignorant joy because I didn't understand that I didn't understand. if that makes sense.
Mm.
Happy, excited, man. I felt it just felt so right, and it was a great thing. I think I just lacked a lot of knowledge during the time. That's why I said it was ignorant joy. I had no idea how much came along with a family or a child, and life will teach you that you don't know what you thought you knew. And so I definitely had a lot of joy. I just wish I had more understanding at the time of what I had in my hand with my son when he was a baby. And that's why if you know, he noticed he said maturity when he was talking about one of the qualities of me. He's watched me grow as a father because I was just so unexperienced. And he's seen it and felt it, and he's watched me be intentional about being better. So it was definitely a joy, just an ignorant.
I love that. I love that. I think that's wonderful. I think that's good. Jill, when you found out, what did you feel?
Well, I was extremely excited and I was scared at the same time. I was excited because, I believe that every man wants a son to carry on, his name, and have his own identity carrying the, your name. And then I had to understand that, from that point, what type of legacy am I thinking about? What type of legacy was I living in at that moment? So, I had to make some quick changes and, you know, and I was afraid because I never thought that I would be good enough to raise such greatness.
That's
I
dope.
like that. I like that. I like that. Great indeed are all of these gentlemen. Great indeed. Um, for the sons, tell me a moment that you have experienced with your father that's like a lasting memory for you. Let's start, Erickson. We'll start with you. So, just a memory or a moment that you've had with your dad, um, that's your favorite.
At the time, it wasn't my favorite, but as I got older, it was I definitely knew it was burning into my mind. But I was no older than 8, and we were throwing the football. We were throwing the football around, and I used to get really frustrated, and I couldn't catch it. Catch it. He looked at me and he was like, he told me, if you keep telling yourself that you're not gonna catch it, you're not gonna catch it. And I remember that, and I caught it right after. And I remember that moment whenever I'm struggling, or I feel like I can't do it, or I'm frustrated. Your thoughts and how you think positively and negatively is gonna dictate how you end up succeeding or failing. So that was the best memory I could think of.
Wow, that's
Oh,
cool.
that's so good.
I don't
That is
remember. Dope.
that's so good. All right. Um, ah, actually, I have Vincent with us now. And so before I even go to the others, I want to add Vincent the second. Hi, Vincent.
Hey everybody, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And so Vincent the second, he's from Durham. He lives in Durham, actually. He's the son of Vincent Sr. and Connie. He was born and raised in Henderson. He graduated from Northern Vance in 2013. He graduated from East Carolina University and holds a bachelor's degree in health fitness. Throughout his 4 years of college, he was a member of the track and field program and was named the team captain his senior season. Upon graduation, Vince combined his passion for health, fitness, and helping others to start his own business, Second Gear Fitness. In addition to the fitness side of his business, he uses Second Gear Fitness as a platform for community development. Vince is the men's track and field coach at Southern Durham High School, where he hopes to use his experience on the track, in the business world, and in the real world to help shape the lives of young men and women. We welcome you on tonight, Vincent.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And so I'm gonna ask you two questions.
Okay.
And before I go to the others, I'm gonna ask you two questions. So the first question is, what do you admire the most about your dad?
Probably his consistency. Um, I don't see him. I don't see him complain about anything. I never hear him say he's tired of helping people. No matter what he does, no matter what he's doing for other people, it's just consistent. It's been like that my whole life, and it's kind of something I've noticed that that I've really tried to kind of pick up on. No matter what I'm doing, just doing it every day, committing yourself to whatever you're doing, and staying with it. It's just something I've seen him do forever.
I love it. Now, what was your favorite moment that you've experienced with your dad? If you can think of a favorite moment, what would that moment be?
Yeah. So I don't know if my dad remembers this or not, but I think about it pretty often. It's actually my freshman year of college. It was my freshman year of college. I was running track, and my dad, all through high school and all through my summer track and everything, my dad was pretty much at every meet. And most of them were local, so it's pretty easier for him to get there. But even on the weekdays, it's pretty much at every meet. Um, and then it was my third meet of my freshman year, and I was doing okay, but nothing special. I was a hurdler. The hurdlers are a little bit higher in college, so I was still kind of adjusting to that difference. And then we had a meet scheduled for Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech's probably about 5.5, 6 hours away. And my dad called me probably like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, and he said that he wouldn't be able to make the meet. So it's like probably one of the first meets that he told me he wouldn't be able to make. So all right, no big deal. Um, so we get to the meet. A couple days go by. We get to the meet. Everything seems fine, but we pull up, and my dad's already there. So I don't know if he was like just telling me he couldn't make it, or he found a way to make it at the last minute. But I mean, whatever it was, that's been sticking with me since that day. And I ran one of my best races, even throughout my whole 4 years of college. I ran one of my best races at that meet. It was only one race. I only had one race. It's 8 seconds long, but the fact that he pushed through whatever, drove 6 hours to come see that race. And then we went and we ate at the dining hall. I remember hearing like Virginia Tech had this amazing dining facility. So we went and ate, and it was just a great time. And that stuck with me since then.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's sweet. Vincent, do you remember that? Do you remember
Yes,
that
ma'am.
moment?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Okay, Makai, tell us.
Um, One moment that I've experienced with my dad that I would never forget is probably it was a few years ago. I think I was either a junior or a senior in high school, and I had gotten in trouble, and like I had trusted somebody that like I shouldn't have trusted or whatever. But after I got in trouble and stuff like that, me and my dad, like he called me in the room. He was like, "Let's talk," and he was like, basically was telling me you can't trust everybody that you come in contact with. It was basically a lesson learned that really you can't trust everyone that comes around you just because you don't know their intentions for like trying to know you. And he told me that if you trust no one else, there are two people you can always trust, and it's me and your mom. And of course, God. Like that wasn't a question, but it was me and your mom, and that's something that like sticks with me to this day. Like I haven't forgotten, and that's something that I'll never forget.
Oh, glad you learned that lesson. I love it. I love it. So I think I asked everybody. James, did I ask you that question?
No, thought you were going.
Oh,
You didn't have to.
no, I want to ask you that question. Tell me a moment.
Oh boy. All right. Well, if anybody knows my dad, I mean, I kind of popped in. He is a pastor, and I don't know if this an intuition or something like that, but pastors and ministers of any kind all have this tendency to talk forever. And by it could be the simplest understanding what 1 + 1 equals. but they will make a lecture out of it. And by the end of it, you're going to realize that what he's talking about at the end of the conversation had nothing to do with his initial point of it. But I do remember this one situation. It kind of related to that. So I kind of that they would agree with. I was the challenging child of the family. Well, I kind of just did whatever just to see what I could and couldn't get away with. And I remember this one situation. I don't know if he remembers this story. I had got in this altercation with these kids living on our path. This was a while back. I don't know if I was like 8, 7 or whatever. But I got in this altercation with these kids that lived on the path, and I would walk home, and it was one of those paths where they would drop you off at the very, I guess, part of the very front of your subdivision, and you had to walk. But our house was at the very like end of it, so it was like a dead end. So it's probably like a 6 or 7 minute walk, depending on how fast you're walking. And that one specific day, these guys had came and they were all walking. We were going back home, and I don't know who said what to whatever, but in that whole situation, I decided to pick up some rocks, and I threw a couple rocks at the kids, and so we had this whole like rock war. We were just tossing back and forth, hitting each other. And I don't know, it just, for that situation, I got a little angry with them to the point where I was like physically just trying to hurt the kids. And so then they ganged up on me, and it was 4 or 5 of us. Well, all 4 of those guys started throwing rocks at me. So it went from me, everybody having fun to now I'm taking it serious to now I'm running to the house. So I run in the house and I'm frantic and I'm hollering. I'm like, Dad, these guys are bullying me, blah, blah, like that. And I'm thinking he's going to be the savior, the hero, the Superman that's going to jump in the truck and go to the house and beat up. And he looked at me. He was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "I was walking home, and these guys, they picked up some rocks and they were throwing it at me and everything." I didn't realize he was going to take me to their house. So he takes me to the house, and so we walk into the door, and he asks, what happened? The kids come out, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, my dad about to get you now." They proceed to tell him that I threw rocks at them first, which then involved them having to retaliate and throw rocks at me. And so now I'm looking like, oh, I'm in trouble. So I get home, my dad's talking to me, and he was like, he said, "Son, why did you throw rocks at them?" And my response was, "I don't know." I don't know, because a lot of my responses as my child was, I didn't know. And what my dad was basically I remember the conversation, he basically was telling me is like, you came to me expecting me to be, the savior hero in all this situation, but you have to understand that when you're in tough situations like that, you have to suffer the consequences. And in that situation, I figured that I could just get away with I threw rocks at the kids and they're gonna do whatever, and I can go home and I'll be chilling. Well, it turned from me having fun with these kids to now I'm grounded and I'm in trouble because I started something that at the end of the day, had I, realized that it shouldn't have gone that far, I would never been in that predicament. And so with that conversation, it took 3 hours for him to get it out of me. But what he taught me is that you gotta come up with something better than I don't know. Meaning that everything that you do have a reason. Now, whether or not you may understand it is up to you, but it basically just showed me that whatever I do in life, I gotta have a reason behind it. I don't just do anything just because I feel like it. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. He just basically was telling me, you do something, it comes with consequences, and you better have a good reason. And it better be better than I don't know. So I stopped saying I don't know for ever since then because I ain't want to listen to him for 3 hours. But yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Seems like these amazing fathers have taught you all some amazing lessons. And so I think that's really, really amazing. And they're lifelong lessons because now that you all are older, you are really like you have taken in what they've taught you and are applying it to your lives now. So I think that that is absolutely amazing. Each of the fathers here are married. And so, as you see your father as a husband, I want to know when you look at how your father treats his wife, your mom. What do you glean from that? What do you learn from how your father treats his wife, your mom? Vincent, we'll start with you.
I think the biggest thing is just they always have that level of respect. I mean, they have disagreements. They've been together for almost 30 years. So of course they have disagreements and they don't always see eye to eye. But I've never heard my dad disrespect my mom. Like he's never crossed any lines or anything or said anything that he would regret or anything. So it's just having that control. And, a lot of people say they can't control themselves or whatever the case may be. But I mean, no matter what the situation is, I've never seen him step out of character. I mean, really in anything, but especially when it comes to my mom, he always has that respect, and he's always going to say the right thing, and they're always going to work past whatever it is. So just good to see them work through problems without crossing any lines or anything like that.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Erickson.
So watching my parents interact has taught me it's taught me that every action is going to have a reaction, and you need to plan your moves out like chess. Oh, when you go into dangerous waters, whether that's a tough conversation that needs to be had, whether that's how to handle a certain situation, you need to plan out what you're going to say before you say it. Oh, so there's no issues, and that's with big or small, but that's just a good lesson to take into any situation.
I love it. I love it. Great lesson. Mr. Lewis.
When looking at my parents and their relationship, I see many things, but one thing specifically I get from my dad a lot is how patient he is. He's so patient with my mom, and I know, like, for me, I don't know. I don't know if I could do some of the things that he do, but he's just really patient with her with a lot of things, and I know she appreciates it, and I'm starting to appreciate it and see and watch what he does. But also, from a spiritual standpoint, I just watch how they build on each other. Both of them know the Bible so well, and anytime my mom has to preach, they always talking to each other, bouncing off of each other. And my dad's wisdom in the Bible, well, he takes that and he puts everything that he knows inside of her, from what it says to how to treat a woman, and I see all of that, whether he knows it or not.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm just a little tickled that you think your daddy needs to have patience with me.
So good. And I ain't got it. I'm sorry, I ain't got it.
Oh, okay, James.
Well, not to step on Makai's shoes or whatever, but I will admit that patience is a big thing with my dad. I know I kind of like said in regards, it's very playful banter, obviously, because we're not saying that the women are 100% like just going crazy and they sitting there taking all the damage or anything. But I will say though that like his ability, I guess, to just navigate through how the relationship works. So even in the good and bad times, because I've seen the bad and I've seen the good. And there's a lot of things that I respect him as well, is that he didn't want to portray this perfect marriage image to his kids to the point where we never saw the bad, because it wouldn't really train or teach us for the future. Because if all we saw was them just smiling each other's faces, then we think that, oh, marriage is always going to be good. So whenever we have a bad time, boom, we're dipping. And it's like, no, it's not like that. Because I've seen him yell. And then I've seen him cry because he's so happy or whatever. And so it helped me kind of understand that in my marriage, which I'm trying to, do each and every day, which is a new step for me going into it. I was like a fish out of water in the concept, because I thought it was kind of like dating. It was like, you get mad, you argue, boom, 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 whatever. But one thing I do remember, and I don't know if he remembers the conversation, it was a while back. He always taught me, you never go to bed angry. So regardless how mad you can be, even if it takes 6 hours in the night, so you might be up till 5 o'clock in the morning talking and arguing. Before you lay that head on that bed, make sure y'all work it out some way. And even me and my wife, and I'm sure if she's not in chat or whatever, she can attest to it, that we may be angry with each other, but at least we go to bed and saying, okay, I love you. You might make me mad, but I still love you enough to, give you a little kiss on the forehead or something. Because it's not that big. As long as if it's able to be worked out, he's taught me to just at least come to some mutual ground before you let it blow up to become something bigger than it should be.
I love it. I love it. I must say, I said this at the beginning, that these are some amazing fathers. And it just shows with just what they put into these young men. And as I look at people talking in the chat and how they're talking about the young men and the things that they're saying, it's just so evident what you all have put in them. I also want to know, Why is the relationship with your father so important? Makai, we're going to start with you. Why is your relationship with your father so important?
Um, I would say my relationship with my father is so important because there are some things that a woman can teach a male child, but I think there are also other things that only a father can do and only a father can like do justice. And only because like they've been in our shoes, which makes it more important as to why people should listen to their fathers because like they've been in your shoes, they know where you've been. And so especially like with mine, everything he's taught me he's been through. And so I just take that and I just try to use everything that he's taught me. And that's why keeping a close relationship with him is so important because I learn something from him almost every time I'm talking to him, whether it be big or small. So just having that good representation. Um, and I also want to have a good representation of him. And so, yeah.
Love it. I love it. And I love you all's relationship as well. I see it behind the scenes and it is truly amazing. Um, Erickson, why is your relationship with your father so important?
So how I see it is the things that he's been through and the things he's had to learn the hard way. He can give me the information so I don't have to go through that experience.
Oh,
He's just like a reservoir of information constantly. So if I have a question or an issue, I can always go to him first and get more guidance on the situation before I just jump into it. So that's why I think it's important. So I can get taught things that I wouldn't be able to get taught anywhere else.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love that. Vince,
I think it's
the
important.
proud grandma up here.
Yeah.
I find it important because I know a couple reasons really. First being just I carry his name, so it's like I wouldn't want to embarrass his name and embarrass everything he's done. I know what he's stood for in his community. I know what he's done all of my life and all of his life, and I've never seen a lack of integrity or anything else. So it's just having that relationship with him, kind of watching him work and seeing what he does and how he treats people. It's like it would how do I put this? It would really be a waste of my time not to take advantage of it. This be the best way I could put it. Like I really have a good resource right there. It's there anytime I call them. I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate to even have a dad in their life like that. So it's just like I was blessed to have a father in my life. Like I know a lot of people don't, but just having that resource and I have to take advantage of it. It wouldn't make sense not to.
That's good. That's good. James.
All right, well, I'm gonna get a little deep because I will admit, reading this question for me, and I'm sure my dad can attest to this as well. Reading this question in general, when you said the relationship with your father, how is that important? And if I could kind of bounce on it, it's just, which I'm sure my mom can attest to it. If I get, I'm going to disclaimer early. If I get emotional, I'm sorry because this is a little personal. And dad, the relationship with me and my dad, it started off rocky. I'm not gonna lie. Now, as far as like as you're growing up as a kid, like elementary, middle school, that relationship, you kind of just, you're like the height of your son or whatever. It isn't like you're not really fully like teaching them life at that moment because it's too early. You want them to have fun. You want them to learn for themselves and make their mistakes and think they're man and all that stuff. And then when it comes time for the time to grow up, that maturity level that, like Erickson talked about, being mature and stuff, that era was the era when I think me and my dad bumped the heads the most because I was the person that thought I knew everything. And by knew everything, that I would challenge him as a father. And which he even talked to me about, I think what it was is I was so challenging at first is because there was a relationship that he had with his own father that, as he even talked about, that kind of, that area where you needed to really grow, but you didn't have that full connection where I didn't really go to him like as much as now talking, I wish I would have, but I didn't go to him with all my issues as much as I should have. And so I felt like it kind of, hindered me in my growth as far as making sure that I wouldn't make these mistakes here and there. Because there were some mistakes that I made even in my later on years that I feel like if I would have just talked to him when I was like 12 or 13, I would never did it. Could have been relationship wise, schooling, anything like that. And so I think I'm more blessed now sitting at the age that I'm now, and my relationship with like my wife and just in my position in church and stuff with our relationship, because it was like a distant, but it kind of like brought us together more, because versus me just saying, hey dad, what's up, hey, how you doing? That's simple batter talk. We did that any day. We talk about sports for 6 hours, but it was like surface level conversation. But I think now it's to the point where and I don't even know when it changed. It just, I could go to him and it was more or less like I could talk to him like he was like my best friend that I never had, or that was always there, I just never talked to. And so what really respected me the most, which is important for anybody else is out there, have that relationship, is because he's still gonna be your friend regardless. And I didn't really respect it. I mean, I respect him as a father because I never would try to step on his toes. I didn't want to get a whooping outside of that. But less alone, I didn't want to, show that his, error didn't matter, because a lot of people want to say that the father in the house shouldn't have as much control. In my opinion, it's like the father is kind of like the foundation of the house. And it kind of starts there. The mother kind of makes sure everything is in order, but that father is like that person, is that glue that kind of makes sure everybody just stays. And it really kind of helped me as far as like in church, as far as like my relationship with my wife, as far as like in school, and it just helped me understand that looking at him and how he shows his love to me, even with being the son that tried to push him away, gave me more like validation, knowing that this is the guy that I want to become one day. And even now, I still want to, get to the level that he is. And I'm still always trying to strive to be better than him. Because I'm always talking about, I'm going to be better than you one day. But now it's just like, I kind of like can feel that a little bit more mentally than just talking about it like I did as a child. So he's important to me because I love him, and he's just always going to be there. And it kind of just shows you that you need that person, that, like you said, I mean, that a mother can't really teach you. You need that guidance, that maturity, that wisdom that comes from a father. So I'm good.
I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. Um, I want to talk about this subject, which is kind of, I guess, a touchy subject, because raising males can be a challenge. And so, and when I say a challenge, it's not necessarily the child being like a bad child or anything like that, but with everything that's happening in the world today, is challenging. And so for me as a mom, every time Makai walks out of the door, I'm praying 10 times harder than I've ever prayed, because I don't want anything to happen to my child. And so for me and for those that are close to us, they know Makai is a sweet kid, like he's a great guy. But if he goes down the road and if he gets pulled over, and not all cops are bad, and I'm not saying this in that context, but if he gets pulled over, they don't know Makai like I know Makai. And so when you see so many things in the news, it's just a challenge. And so and I hate to say, I have the emotion of fear. I don't have the spirit of fear, because I understand that God will cover him, but I have that emotion of fear. And I just wonder, how do you all talk to your sons about these situations and about what's happening, and you know, kind of the unfairness in the world, that we have to face? And I don't think everybody understands it as much as we do, because we're in the house with them, how hard this is and how stressful this is. And, you know, um, who will be the next? It's almost like a thought, because every day you're hearing something about someone. And then there are the cases that you don't hear. And so I had a friend just this week to tell me that her daughter got pulled over by the police, And the first thing that the officer asked her were there drugs in the car? And I thought, wow, this is a girl that's on a full ride scholarship to a college, president of her class, super sweet girl, loves the Lord, just amazing, respectful girl. And then this is what happens when she gets pulled over, because that's not the obvious question. I've been pulled over before and they didn't say to me, do you have drugs in the car? And so I just wonder from the father's standpoint, how do you handle that? Vincent, I'm gonna start with you.
I think my feelings pretty much the same as yours, Ayana. The same fear that we have for our sons. I think sometimes the moms forget we also black males. So everything that I can do to avoid a policeman or to avoid any bad situation, I try and teach them that as well. Because like you said, you don't have to do anything wrong. Sometimes it could be you on the wrong street, your car the wrong color, you whatever it may be, and it can be a big concern. So you always try to point out things that is like an added extra protection level, so that you will not draw any attention to yourself. When I was growing up, 16, 17 years old, if I got stopped for speeding, I would tell the policeman, show me the radar. But nowadays, you can't do that. So you're always going through those things. Be the safest you can. Do everything you can to limit your confrontation with authority, because you just never know who's having a bad day or bad moment or whatever at that time. So it's really, really, really time to be careful. No one likes this situation, but it's sort of where we're at right now. Like you said, you pray as much as you can. You try and deter any negative thoughts, but just being the best you can. And again, even for him, he has to make sure, am I doing everything I can? Because I don't need any extra attention. If I do get stopped, I must respect the authority at that time. If they're not treating us right, we could deal with it later on. But in the moment, you doing everything you can to live.
That's good. That's good. June?
Um, it's sad that that we would even be um, in a state such as this. However, like Vincent said, this is I guess not so much as a new norm, but it's our reality. And like you said, every time Makai leaves the house, I may not show it, but I have a fear as well. Even though I pray, I believe God and I trust God. But like Vince said, you never know when somebody's having a bad day, or just what their motive or agenda may be. And like you said, we know Makai, and our friends and peers in the community, they know Makai. But highway patrol, sheriffs, or whoever else in a different county or whatever, they don't know him like we do. So like I just always encourage him, like I said, to comply. Don't, even though you may feel like or know beyond a shadow of any doubt that you are right, don't be combative. Don't go word for word with officers. um you know and I told him and my wife, and you guys as well, I saw this thing on the iPhones, that like if you're getting pulled over, you can say, hey Siri, I'm getting pulled over, and it'll automatically start recording. So I told him about that, and it's just sad. It's just um it's just heartbreaking that our black boys or black men, in the case, black women, black people, period, have to deal with it. Everybody is not a criminal. Everybody is not crooked. Everybody is not, in that type of predicament. However, it's like, some people paint everybody with the same brush. So, like I said, we just try to make sure that, you know, he just remain calm, and just, comply, and just know, as soon as we get a word, we there.
James?
Yes. Well, I'm very intentional, and I'm very consistent with praying on my kids, James and Brittany, and all my children. I'm consistent with them. And I cover them under blood. every chance I get. And like you said, when they're not with us, we're always worried about what make it happen, the type of things like that, which is like, of course, emotional worry. But also, we taught them early on growing up to always be respectful, to adults, and so we instill that in them. So always comply and be the best you can be at that. I remember my son when he got pulled over one time. First thing he did was call his mom. You know, we always taught them, call us, let us deal with the adults, you know, even at a young age. And so I believe that's in them, but at the same time, we're not with them all the time. And the best we can ever do is continue to pray and continue to keep them covered under blood. You know, because like I said, it's not all bad cops out there. It's not all good cops out there. And sometimes you run into the bad ones. But we just got to be prayed up on them, you know. And it's sad that we live in this type of world, but we do. And it's obvious, you know, it's right at our back door. So we just, like I said, you got to be consistent and intentional in your prayer.
I love that. I love that. Eric?
Yeah, that's a heavy one, man. You know, we have sporadic conversations about this particular topic. You know, here and there, certain pieces of information will come out and instructions will come out. You know, unfortunately, you know, for the white brothers and sisters like that may feel like everything is equal. Like my son don't know this, but like this is sometimes if a move need to be made at night, I won't ask him to do it. And like I may want him to do it because he can drive now. You know, I ain't got to go, and then I may have a thought and be like, nah, you know what? I'll go. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna even send him out there. Like he's safe at home. I'm gonna leave him at home, and it's because of a cop. It's because of a cop. I don't want the wrong cop to pull him over for some crazy. You know what I mean? And you know, just real talk. White brothers and sisters ain't got to think like that about no police officer. You just don't. You know, and you know, like Moon said, like you don't want to paint everybody with a brush, and I don't like to generalize. I hate generalization because I know that ain't how the world's set up. But I think what Muhammad Ali said, it rings true. Like you telling me it's 100 good ones, you know, it's 10, it's 100 snakes in the hallway, and you telling me 10 of them good. How I'm gonna pick 10 good snakes that's not gonna bite me? You know, it's kind of impossible to do. So. You know, we've instructed my son, you know, if the cops, I think it was a few weeks ago, we talked about if cops pull you over, man, just comply as much as possible, as long as it makes sense. Comply. Be respectful, comply. You know, don't hang with fools. Teach my son if you got a friend who's always saying what? You got to say the word, but if they always saying, they saying F it. Like you got a friend that's always saying F it. I don't care, F it, man. Look, you got to cut them off because these people will get you in trouble. And you definitely don't want nobody like that with you if you get pulled over. And we gave him instructions in case he gets locked up for some reason or he's starting to get out and explore. And I want him to explore. I want him to get out, live life, have fun. I've given him enough wisdom to make some good, sound judgments. If he fails, so be it. We'll deal with that later. You know, that's life. But if for some reason you get arrested, the instructions are to keep your mouth closed and ask for your attorney, and call your parents. Regardless, don't even talk to the police officers. You call us and ask for an attorney. Keep your mouth shut. Even if they lock you up for a night, just comply. Keep your mouth shut. And we'll come get you. We coming. Once we hear from you, we coming. So it's scary. I don't want to talk too long, but it is scary and it is a fear. And I heard what you said earlier, Ayana, and it made me think about my son just going out, period. And this is a reality that I had to face because I realized in nature, and you and your husband and your son, your family, you guys are in the toughest people I know group. I have groups of people who I say are the toughest people I know, and you guys are in that group. And just studying life from behind this barber chair, man, I've been watching, and I told my wife, I said, babe, listen, I had to come to a conclusion that my son might come out and might not come home. So I asked him, I said, you want to go out tonight? He said, yeah. I say, the worst thing that can happen is you don't make it home. Are you cool with that? He said, yeah, I want to go out. As long as you understand what the worst thing that can happen is, I'm at peace. But we've already gave him wisdom. We taught him how to move. We gave him instructions. So hopefully he can dodge and duck all the worst case scenarios. But I had to come to a realization that I could lose my child, but I still got to let you go out the house. So I'll see you tomorrow. Even when we talk about that, I said, this is the worst thing that can happen, but you going to make it home. Weird reality we live in, but it's just how it is.
I'm literally like almost in tears because I don't think people realize the mental fight. I often tell Makai when he goes out, I can't sleep really, really well. And so I wake up like I'm up. And when he comes through that door, he'll
Yeah.
say, "Why are you still up?" And I'm like, I need you to come through the door. And so that's not everybody's reality. And, like you said, there are people who their kids can go out and they come back home and they're okay. Like they don't have that mental battle going on. And it's just a sad reality. It's really such a sad reality. But also, we keep them prayed up, which leads me into my next and really almost final question. Um, Most of you all, well, all of you all have some kind of faith, like a foundational faith. We're talking about being able to pray for our kids and all of those things. How did you lay that foundation? Because sometimes I listen to Makai or he'll send us a song, in the morning, like he'll send a song and say, "This is the song of the day." And it's a gospel song. And I'm just so like wowed by that. Because he could be listening, and not to say he doesn't listen to other things, but the fact that he does listen to gospel as well, it's just a blessing to me just to hear him sometimes when he talks, or his desire to take a fast and fast for something. That foundation has definitely been laid as I listen to the children. So how did you all lay that foundation for your sons, and how important is that? Um, James, we'll start with you, Pastor.
It wasn't, well, around here is not a don't do as I do as I say. It's, we try to lead by example. Never want to put our children in a position to see us doing something opposite of what we try to push them to do. So that example was really what we focus on more than anything, because I get the enjoyment out of knowing they're making the right decisions on their own. I believe a young person, even as they get older, they're doing something because somebody else or parents want them to do it. I don't think it'll last long. But when they do it on their own because they want to do it, by the example that we showed, it speaks volumes to me. So that was one of the biggest things my wife and I did, and we still do to this day, just try to lead by example. And again, want to sit back and see the choice that they make. And I'm blessed behind that, just to see that.
That's good. That's good. Vincent?
I think from the beginning, you always try and teach about God, give them the fear of God, and try and lay the foundation that your salvation, all those things are important. Other things may come into play from time to time. And I think as parents, we make those decisions for our kids. We look at a lot in society now, parents are allowing their kids to choose this and choose that. But I think as young people, we have to tell our kids sometime as part of laying their foundation. We cannot give everything away to kids because it's our responsibility to teach them. When they get 18, they make their own decision and they do. But most oftentimes, I believe if you look back, if you put the right things in the kids, it may be in back somewhere, but eventually it'll come out to the forefront and they will begin to make decisions, as Alexander had said. And you can say, hey, I'm glad they made that decision. I can see what's in them coming out. So always just do everything you can from a parent's perspective to teach them the right thing. And sometime, again, at a young age, we have to make those decisions for them. But as they get older, mature, and see the things that we're doing, they will make the right decisions.
That's good. That's good. June?
I make sure that I constantly cultivate my relationship with God. I make sure that I try as best to the best of my ability, not to miss him when he speak to me. So, you know, I I love worship, um, and I just, when he goes with us to church, he's able to witness that on his own. So I want him to be able to build his own relationship with God, um, and just be ready for any questions or any concerns, um, and that's it.
I feel like he
So
has a
I also continue to remind him that because we all can agree to this, um, and I tell him all the time that life is a chance, but what you do with it is a choice. So at the end of the day, all of our young men, regardless of what we put in them and what we instill in them, at the end of the day, the choice is still theirs. So and I just talk to him constantly.
I think that's good. I think the older they get, the more questions that they have. Eric,
Well, like kind of like June said at the end, like the choice is there. At the end of the day, my son is here. Uh, the vessel in which he came through was my wife and I, but he's a person and he has his own identity. I want him to have his own identity, and I want him to come to that conclusion on his own. There's this thing called the identity trap I've been on lately, and the identity trap, two sides to it. One side is uh, if you're living the life that somebody else said you should be living. They say it should be done this way, and that's how you try to do it because that's what you were told. And now you're living out a life that this guy said you should live. And the other side is when you think everyone should think and move like you move. And if you fall in that category under the idea of the identity trap, you're in it. And so, in my opinion, I lived most of my life in an identity trap. I couldn't be who I was because of what I thought I was supposed to be because of what someone told me. And
mm,
I never want that for any of my children. And so,
mm,
I want them to make their own decisions. I think there are some things in life that are irrefutable. You can't even debate about it because we all can acknowledge that that's a truth. That's why, in my bio, one of my favorite quotes is principles don't change, situations do, but principles will always stay the same. And that's what I teach my kids. Find the principle in a thing and you hold on to it. You can believe it's going to be there for the rest of your life. Wherever you go, the principle will stay the same. And based off being a principle based thinker and teaching my kids to live based off principles, I want them to come to their own conclusion on who they decide to be. How your own identity. When they tell me they want to do certain things, I may personally disagree with it, but I'm not gonna say don't do that because of me. I'll say don't. I say, hey, listen, before you do that, think about this. Let's look 10 years down the road or something like that. But I don't want you to live your life based off of what daddy said you should do because that's what daddy would do. He his own man. You make your own decisions, follow the principles, find them. Yeah.
I love that. That's good. That's really good. That's really good.
Can I finish that thought?
Absolutely, please.
A young lady came, and I'm gonna tell you this. This is why this is so important to me, and I'm hung up on it right now. A young lady came to me to get a haircut. She was 18 years old, and she practiced a different faith. She was practicing the Muslim faith, still is, I assume. And she came in with her parents, and you could tell by her body language she was irritated. And I'm like, so how you want it? How you want your haircut? She said it don't matter. She said I didn't even know I was coming here today. And did no shade to anybody that practices that faith. This is just a true story. She said I didn't even know I was coming here today. And her parents wanted her to get a haircut. So she got a haircut, and after she covered it up, we talked a little bit, but she was still irritated because she didn't make the decision. She 18. She was made to get a haircut, and she was made to cover it up. So I was like, you seem irritated, blah, blah, blah. She said, it don't matter. She said, I got to cover it up anyway. And everything that she said, I could tell she's moving off somebody else's remote control. Nothing that she's experiencing right now with me, she didn't want to do any of it, but she was made to do it. And the little girl is trapped. She's in an identity trap. She can't even be who she is. And so that's why I stress that with my kids. Find principles in life that are real. They don't change. You stick to it, and let's live life productively. Yeah.
Mhm. I think that is so good. So good. What I've learned is a lot of what we've been taught. Um, I don't know. I can't even put it really into words, but a lot of what we've been taught is just not even factual. Like some of the is so religious, so to speak. And I'm not even talking about church, but um it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And so I think that is key, finding your own identity and finding principles that are real and applying them to your life. And I think it is powerful that you're allowing your child to be who they are. Um I want to end it. So it's about time for us to wrap up. I hate to even end it. However, I want the men to speak to, there are so many women that are raising men right now on their own. And so I want you all to be able to speak to that mom who's trying to raise that guy, that young man on her own. What is a word of wisdom that you would give that mom? And then for the sons, I want you to speak to that son who's being raised by his single mom, who desires a relationship with his father, may not have it. And so what I'm learning is a lot of kids become angry and bitter because they don't have it. And so there are some fathers who could be listening as well that are not present in their son's life. And so if you're able to speak to those that are listening, to say, this is why it's so important for you to be in your son's life. Nobody, and I look at you all because each of you all had different things to say. Some of you all were raised by your moms, but you came out to be amazing men. And so one of the things that I've learned in life is what didn't like, I changed it within my own life. And so you all seem to have done that. And so I just want to end on that note where each of you all have something to say to that mom to encourage her, and to that son to say, even though he's not there, make the right choice. James, we'll start with you.
All right. Well, I applaud the women, the mamas, the mothers that go the extra mile when the father's not in the home. I applaud them for that. But that's still, it's still a part of that young man that needs that father, and even if whatever the case may be, they need to be involved with some type of mentor, some man. They need that. And I've heard some women that would say, they can raise their son, they don't need the daddy. But at the end of the day, you really do need that father. You need that man figure in the house. It's just a strong, it's just a strength there, and they need it. And like I said, it's easy to say I can handle it on my own, but that's all they're gonna get from a mom's point of view. But they have to have the father's nowhere around. They need to find a good mentor that's gonna be real and that's gonna be honest with them. But I do applaud the best they can do, but they can only take them so far.
It's good. James, what do you say to that son who is like struggling? Um, do you have any words to piggyback?
I will say what I did learn from my father, which I feel like that you could also learn from any male figure that's well versed, I guess, in far as life, is that recognize who you are first before you try to, I guess, figure out life and stuff. You gotta, love yourself first, mainly. So what really helped me grow in life, as far as with even with my relationship with my dad, is understanding who you are and how your value in life, and where where you make a difference or not, and what you do is important. And once you start, I guess, realizing that you are important, that you do matter, and that you do have an ability to make an impact on this world, then the people around you will slowly start to understand that, you know, how you're self-motivated. You have that identity, like Eric has spoke about. You have that identity for yourself, and basically speaking is like you don't have that, you know, that fluctuating decision on whether or not that you're going with the naysayers or you're going with, oh well, my dad was a drunk, my granddad was a drunk, so I'm gonna be a drunk. You have your own path. And which kind of pushed me, it's funny, is like I came up with that to myself, and it ended up pushing me almost in the somewhat direction that my dad is now. He had never forced and told me, hey, I need you to be a part of the church. The church was there. Like the principle of the church was there, but it's just my ability to choose to go that path was for me, which allowed me to be able to feel comfortable in my own skin on what I'm doing. So like I said, for the people that don't have their fathers in that situation, it's really you. Once you take that time to you realize who you are and what you want to do and have the ability and your calling and everything, once you really take that in stride and get that relationship with God too, because I know some people are religious, but I will say having a relationship with God is that father figure that will also help you, even though he may not physically be there. But really, once you get that mental aspect of it down, it will help you kind of grow as you get older, and then you'll learn the maturity. You'll learn how to maneuver. You'll learn the mistakes. You'll learn how to get around just pretty much anything you face. So I would say, like, really, it starts with you. Just grow first, and then you'll strive as you learn yourself mainly.
That's good. That's good. Vincent, Vincent,
Um,
and Vincent.
Yeah, I would first say, again, we also salute all those moms that do what they have to do when there's not a father or male figures around. Um, but if at all possible, to the moms, if the father's not there, allow them to be in their son's lives. They may not be perfect. They may not do all the things they're supposed to, but I think it has a major effect when you're raising a son for him to see some positive males in his life. And to any father out there, I mean, if you have a kid, you need to get involved in their life. It's your kid. You need to make a difference in their life. I think a lot of time kids suffer for many reasons. One of the reasons are trying to find that connection with the father. So even if you have issues with the mom or other family members or whatever, that's your kid. You need to do everything you can to get in your kid life. Even if you're not there 24/7, take some valuable time, spend with them, explain to him, talk to him about life. Again, there are things that mom can do, but at some point in time, a son may ask a question that mom cannot answer because she doesn't have that experience. You know, God always mean the short places and things of that sort, but having a father figure there is very helpful. So moms, again, give the fathers leeway, allow them to be in the kid's life. And father, step up and do what you're supposed to do.
That's good. That's so good. Vince Jr.,
yeah,
the second.
and just basically going off what my dad said, as far as seeking out a male mentor, you know, if you don't have if you don't have your father in your life or whatever the case may be, you know, try to, if you're not able to reach out to them, look up to someone who you think is doing positive in the community, who can be a positive role model to you, and kind of seek that as far as a father figure. Because, you know, to be honest, as great as mothers are, there are some things they just can't relate to when it comes to raising a young man. I mean, fortunately, I was able to always have my father in my life, so I don't know exactly how that feels, but just from being a coach, I know a lot of my athletes, they don't have that father figure. They don't have the dad coming to the meets. They don't have advice, you know, telling them how to dress, how to carry themselves, and things like that. So it's a lot. I mean, a lot of times, even me being as young as I am, I have to kind of step up and kind of teach what my dad taught me. Just because we're not all as fortunate to have those dads. So if you're not able to, you know, seek out your real father, which, you know, I would definitely recommend if you can, but if you're not able to, just look in the schools, look in the community, try to find somebody who seems to be carrying themselves in the right way. Talk to them, you know, call them, see what they're doing. But you don't want to have this mentality of like, I don't need my dad, I don't need a man, like I can do this all on my own, because I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to end up well. But just seek out whoever you can to get that father figure in your life. I mean, if you can't, and you know, reach out to your counselors or whatever you can, but try to find that father figure.
That's good. That's good. Eric?
Well, that's a heavy one too. I see it a lot in my profession. Like I've actually had women bring their kids to me because they want to present type of discipline. You know what I'm saying? I even had parents ask me to whoop their children because they just don't know what to do. And I see a lot come through that barbershop because a lot of men are missing, and it plagues our community, no doubt. We all can see that. My advice to a mom that doesn't have a father figure for the son or the daughters, but particularly the sons, if they are young, there's this thing they call theta. Theta is what is the mind state that a kid is in from 0 to 7, 8 or 9, or something like that. And they say if you want to, there's a church group called the Jesuits, I believe, in the 1600s. They said if you want to see the man, bring me the child from 0 to 7, I'll show you the man. And so you can program the baby from 0 to 7. That man will exhibit those characteristics. And so, how would that look in this day and time when you don't have a father in the home, but you want the kid to kind of pick up on some good characteristics for the father? And while everybody was speaking, man, how would that happen? And my best advice to some of the moms that, especially if you got babies, would be to find characteristics in black men, individuals that you appreciate, and show that to your son. Show that to your son. Say, this is how a man walks. And I say that I never forget, anybody that grew up with me, I had a big butt. I walked when I was young. And I remember my enemy, she said, this is how a man walks. She tried to teach me to walk like a man. And it was so funny, man. But she was trying to find a characteristic that she could identify with that was associated with being a man. And so what if you take that principle and you use it as a brother June brought up Bill Cosby. Hey, we got a saying in our house, don't get to know your hero, right? So let's not talk about the real Bill Cosby, but the one TV, Cliff Huxtable. Man, we all loved him. We wish we had somebody like that in our life. So whatever those characteristics are, son, that's how you treat your family. Son, that's how you pull your son aside and rap with him. Son, that's how you treat your wife. You see how he doing his wife? You know what I'm saying? If I was the mom, that's how I would move. Find those characteristics, start young, and tell your son this is a good way to move. Uh, yeah, that's a
Good.
yeah.
That's good. That's good. Erickson, do you have any words?
Talking, don't get me started.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's so much because I see it all the time and it breaks my heart. But go ahead.
For anyone who doesn't have a father in their life, I would emotions and how you feel when you feel like they should be there to give you guidance, and think about when you feel that, to look for the answer in different people. So if you can find guidance or wisdom in a teacher or a coach, anyone who could provide that type of information, you look for. But to all the men there who can be in their children's lives but are not right now, I would like them to think about when they're getting put in the ground, or the moments before. They don't want the last moments to be, what if I just tried? What if I there? Like, what, you have so many questions for what's going on in your child's life because you were never there. And if you're afraid of messing up with your child, I would say to them this: if you have a test and you haven't studied for it, it's better to get a 50 on it and guess rather than a 0 on it and not be there at all in the long.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing to tell them.
Wow.
Hey, Yana,
That's so good.
Erickson said like find it somewhere else, and he and I was talking today before we jumped on, and I'm listening to an old head on YouTube that I love to listen to because there's a lot of practical wisdom. And Erickson kind of keyed in. He was digging him. He was digging what Buddy was talking about. And I said, son, like he still got two grandfathers living, but they came up in a different time, so they kind of it's not the idea that I would like. You know what I'm saying, for him. He don't get to pull on them for wisdom. I said, son, listen, you like Buddy? I said, man, he could be a granddaddy for you because he got a lot of good wisdom. pull him up sometime, listen to him on YouTube, because his grandfathers are not around to do that. Even your father is pulling on this old man that's been dead about 40 years, but he's on YouTube, and I'm listening to him for wisdom. You do the same, because we don't have nobody in our life to do that with. We go to Uncle YouTube now. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. It's amazing. Wow. June and Makai. Final words. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I said, so I've heard before a mother say, I've got to be the mother and the father. Well, you know, you really need to understand that that's virtually impossible. It was never meant or ordained for you to be the father, but the mother. And there may be a lot of areas that you have to compensate because that father is not there. Um, However, Paul says, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, I give you Jesus. So I would say Proverbs 22:9 says to train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he is old, he won't depart from it. So Ephesians 6:4 tells us to bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. So with that being said, I would say it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice. Teach him respect. Teach him to respect himself. Teach him to respect others. Teach him to respect women. Um, Allow them to spend time with positive role models in your family, in your church, or in the community. Somebody that's positive, that could be a positive or have a positive impact on their life. And remember that every child has purpose and a destiny on the inside of them. And inside of every little boy is a king. And so what we will have a tendency to do is to always speak to the little boy. Well, try to learn how to speak to the king inside of him, and encourage him, because only what you feed is going to grow. And when I think about it, even with our young black boys, the way they are like appear to be turning on each other out in the streets, and they're taking each other's lives or something, that there's a deeper issue in there. There's a deeper issue, and perhaps if they had great, wonderful fathers such as these guys here in their lives, then maybe they wouldn't make such drastic decisions, or they won't be so quick to pull the trigger, or so quick to do whatever they do that may cost somebody else their life. So that's what I would say.
Good. Makai?
I kind of want to answer both questions. So something that I would say to a mom, like to a single mom, on raising your son, I would say teach your son or train them up to be a man that you would want to be with. So a man that you would want to date or marry, the greatest qualities that you would want to see in that type of man, raise them up to be that man so they can bless a woman when they're older. And so I think that's like an easy way to think of it if you find it challenging to teach them some things. There are many basic qualities that you can teach your son that are simple, whether it be from respect. It's just a lot of things that you can teach them from what you want to see in someone else. Yeah. And so I think that's an easy way to raise your son. But to a son that doesn't have their father or only has their mother, I would say, like, appreciate your mom, because to be honest, you don't have it the worst. There are people who don't have their father nor their mother. So I know for me, I have both my parents, and that's a true blessing. And then there are people with only their mom or only their dad, it's not the best, but it's still a blessing because there are people with none. So I would just say, take that and just use it because you really need to appreciate what you have rather than seeing the worst. Try to see the best.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, again, I want to say to all of the guests on tonight, thank you all so much for joining us. I have enjoyed this. This has been absolutely amazing. And I think more people need to hear things like that because sometimes how Black males, period, are portrayed is not the reality of it. There are some great fathers raising some amazing sons, and these are just four of them that are here with me on tonight, but there are many more. And so I thank each of you for joining us. Each one of you all have a special place in our hearts. And I often, I'm just so amazed at the young men that are being raised up. And when I look at this, there is so much hope for the next generation because what we see on TV is not the reality of everyday life. And so a lot of those things are glamorized. But when I look at these young men, it gives me hope for our future. And so I'm really excited about the things that you all are doing and what you shall do. I say to you as a mom, just keep God first. Continue to follow in the footsteps of these great men because I think June, James, Eric, and Vincent are some amazing fathers that have laid a strong foundation for you all, and greatness is in each one of you all. Just to listen to each one of you all, the intelligence, it's amazing. And so I'm really glad that you all joined us. Now before we leave, I want to say, are there anything that you all have coming up, um or want to share? Is something going on in your area? um Anything? Are you selling something? How can people reach you if they need something? um Please let us know. Anybody can go.
Okay, well, I guess I'll jump in real fast, but I don't know if my dad wants to speak on it. Being that we are the minister, well, my dad is like the lead minister at the Brick, which is the youth building at Freedom Life Church of God. We are, really big on like bringing the teenagers together and kind of, I guess, teaching the things that really, I guess, doesn't resonate well that from the big church, which we consider our big sanctuary, but it kind of hits home for the youth because youth is kind of big for my father, but also like for me as well, is because a lot of things kind of get skipped over in the youth, and so there's so much tension. There's so much like I guess trauma that's going on right now in the world today that starts at the youth, where it's dealing with the mind or dealing with just how you battle with yourself, basically. And so, which he's been starting this great I guess session in regards to like the mental, and so we were really big on kind of like I guess getting involved with understanding how to I guess combat with yourself, but also understanding your own worth and stuff like that. So I want to show that we're doing that with the youth and stuff at our church, but also I do have this I'm going to be starting this new company was like a worship team with one of my friends from the church, Josh, and we're going to be creating this community-based worship team. It's kind of similar to what
Mm.
they have in some of your other like major cities and stuff. Basically, it's going to be designed based on like free worship, and it's kind of like it's worship without borders concept, where it doesn't really have its own constraints to like a church or to like a mindset, or if it's like based on like a religion standpoint, where we're not all Baptist or all Lutheran or Pentecostal and everything. So obviously, it hasn't really branched out just yet. It's kind of like in the little baby steps on it. So that's like my main thing I'm currently doing. The worship team is called Different, and it's basically, like I said, it's just about just being free and having that limitless ability just to express how you feel through worship, and it's really just about just talking to God in your own way, like from just I don't know, from the normal of reading a read back church hymn, but it's like more or less like just speaking to God in today's generation of their crying out saying, hey, God, we want to talk to you, but we don't want to talk to you with the way our grandparents did. We want to talk to you in our language. So that's pretty
I
much
love
the
it.
process.
I love it. I love it. So if someone wants to join that choir, how can they contact you?
I'm on pretty much everything social. If you know somebody that knows somebody that know me, you can call through that. I'm on Facebook as well. You can hit me up through Facebook. It doesn't really have an age gap, so anybody that's like even in high school up to like college students, or I do have some people that I'm in contact with that are in their like late 20s, going on 30s as well. So if there's anybody that's big, if you're a musician, if you are a singer, if you are a graphic designer, we'll meet those guys too as well for like the background and everything like that. But pretty much anybody that just wants to get involved with a group that's just trying to take something new out to the community to kind of combat with all the negativity of the world and stuff like that. We want to kind of bring generation and show, we aren't all out here just
Did it again. Did it go away?
I can hear him.
So maybe, I don't know if theirs dropped off. I don't know. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, listen, if you guys know anybody who has CDLs and looking for a job or interested in driving to make money with just regular license, have them contact me. You can hit me up on Facebook, DM me, Instagram is Eclipse LLC, or just put in Eric Cheek. You can find me. If anybody's interested in paint and sips, I will be cranking those up this year. Stuff is starting to open back up. If you need to bring me in the host for you, we can work that out as well. And other than that, you can look out for my website. Will be up and running very soon, where you can purchase artwork, prints, originals and prints at Art by Eric O'Cheek, and that'll be coming up soon. So you guys just watch out for it. And if you know anybody that's interested in anything that I spoke about, just reach out to me. Thank you. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Vincent?
Yes, ma'am. So I think it was mentioned as I was logging in, but I actually have my own personal training business called Second Gear Fitness, and my slogan is empowerment through activity. And what I kind of try to emphasize to people is whatever you're doing, it's not just it's basically a double entendre with my name as well as the actual purpose. So it's Second Gear Fitness. My name is the second, but it's also kind of to put people in the mindset to do more than they originally thought they could do. It's kind of like turning your life into another gear. But with that being said, I'm still working on my website, but I do sell merchandise. I just went and grabbed a couple of shirts and wanted to show you guys, if you have anyone that's interested, I do sell women's shirts. I have women's tank tops, different options, and I'll be sure to post these too, so you can contact me for orders. I have different colorways, things like that. But yeah, and on top of that, I do offer personal training. If you or anybody you know is looking for any type of personal training, I have all my own merchandise. I do all my own training, so please just reach out to me. I have shorts. Yeah, that's my plug in for today as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
All right, a couple things to add. As we gear things towards the youth, my wife Connie is getting ready to do an additional play on September the 18th. This year is going to be at the McGregor Hall. The theme she started with years ago was Too Young to Be Saved. It's still going to be tagged with that, Too Young to Be Saved, the next generation. So again, trying to reach out to our youth from a spiritual perspective, get them involved, things of that sort. Also, as Mr. Cheek said, me and some more friends do will actually have a trucking company as well, and we are looking for some Class A CDL licensed drivers. So if you know anybody out there, tell them to give me a call. There's plenty of work out there. If you want to work, you can go to work. And finally, as we spoke about, a lot of people may not have mentor things of that sort in their life. So I challenge all brothers to get together and do some small groups. Me and Vince put together a group, we call them the ball group. standing for building a living legacy. So we have about 9 total that we're teaching them about manhood, about being responsible, about finance, about running your own business, things of that sort. So you can't reach everyone, but you can do it in a small group and reach someone. So brother, step up to the plate. And again, thanks for allowing us to participate.
That is so good. I like that. June McCall, do you all have anything you want to say?
No, I'll let you do that.
Okay. All right. So again, thank you all for joining us. James got cut off. Oh, there he is. Hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna pull him back in. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
The power
But
of my phone had died on the charger, so it just I don't know. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so again, they can contact you if they want to join.
Yeah. The
In your
Facebook thing is good.
wonderful
Or you
one.
can contact my dad if y'all don't have me. You can contact him or whatever. But yeah.
Okay. Absolutely wonderful. You all are. There's another son. There's my other baby. So he is on camera. So super. He's probably really excited that he's up there. Gabe, do you want to say anything? What do you want to say? Hey, Gabe. So again, thank you all for joining. Next week, next Thursday, we're going to continue in this vein because we are celebrating men this month, and we are going to do men in ministry. And so we have joining us on next week, we have um, Bishop J. Philip Betts from Cornerstone in Oxford, Pastor Patrick Jackson from Mount Zion in Oxford, and Bishop Samaj McKnight from right here, Jira Ministries in Henderson, North Carolina. So we are super excited to have men in ministry next week. And so we're going to talk to those amazing guys. And if nothing else claims our attention, as they say in church, we're going to dismiss. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This was amazing. And people are saying they want a part 2. So I just want to let you all know, be prepared. So sometime in the future, part 2 is coming up. So they're asking for a part 2. And so love you guys. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And let me say this. I often tell this story. I don't know if Eric remembers, but years ago, there's a scripture that say one plants and another waters. So I have to tell this story. So years ago, I believe June and Eric probably used to work together somewhere, but Eric came to our house in Virginia and he witnessed to us. And I guess that night we might have gotten saved, but I often say you were like the first person that witnessed to us. We've been in church all our lives, but really being the church was the difference. And so I just want to just let you know, such an amazing guy that gave us Jesus. We're excited about it. We won't ever forget it. So
I remember.
thank you. You remember?
Yeah.
You remember. So thank you for the seed, because as you can see, it has blossomed.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's beautiful, man. Look, now I might need you to come witness to me.
We got you.
Hey, look, iron sharpens iron, baby. I got you.
That's right. Thank you again. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.